Greetings and salutations.
Oh man, I was barely ready. I'm barely ready. I don't even have my water yet. Hey everybody, I am Sam, and this is After the Bars. Good to see everybody. It's good to be here. Day 2. Let's just keep it on a roll. I am seriously gonna try to do 7 days a week, no, 5 days a week for the next 365 days. We're gonna see. Somebody please do the math on that for me and tell me how many shows that is. And I will try to do that. And I might even throw in there on the weekends. There's so much news out there right now that that I want to talk about. And of course, at the end of every show, I'm just gonna talk to you guys. You guys can just put a QQQ for a question or a comment or a super chat, or any of the ways. There's also a tips and donations barcode up in the corner. That's just, if anybody ever want to leave a tip, I'm not tripping. This channel, I mean, does run on those kind of things, but it's definitely not needed to participate. Everyone will get their chance to be heard if they give me a super chat or not. But anyways, that's all I'm going to say about that. And man, lots of crazy things going on. Of course, nobody thought Candace Owens was going to come back after her week hiatus, after she announced about her assassination plot last week. Basically, they thought she was going to go, kind of into hiding. I knew better, and when everyone was like saying like, oh yeah, she's probably not going to come back for a while. They're going to wait for the government and the FBI to all, there's no way that she was going to stay away, especially because she has so much going on with her investigation and her timeline with Charlie Kirk's assassination and everything else. I knew there was just absolutely no way. And for anyone who thinks it's about the clicks and views, if you're a friend, you need to rethink that position. If you're just some Joe Schmo around the world, get over yourself. It's way more than that. She should be thankful. Everyone, we should be thankful that she has the kind of platform that she has, where she can receive tips from around the world, literally, about this. And it is really, this is going to be something that's going to change I don't want to say our world because that seems grandiose. It's going to change the way we see our politicians here globally. It's going to change the way that we report on events, everything. You thought there was going to be a lot of conspiracies before, just after a few conspiracies get proved. The word conspiracy, I mean, for real, the word conspiracy it would be beautiful if it could just, disappear, and just be something that 100 years from now that people talk about, like, oh yeah, remember those things called conspiracies when the humans used to, hide shit from each other and the governments lied and people were unaliving each other. I mean, that would be a wonderful thing. I mean, that's kind of like, like my utopia. I mean, really what it is, it's when we're going to be saying those things, it's going to be an eternal life. So if you don't think you might not have that, stay tuned to the end of the show. I'm not going to do a call to the altar or anything. I just I'm going to talk about a little bit about me and how that's kind of saved my life. Anyways, that's the show I got for you guys today. We're going to talk about a little bit about Candace, about what she talked about yesterday. And listen, man, Candace has got some snap. Don't get shit twisted just because she's a college grad and she's married to basically English royalty, that she doesn't have any snap. And she proved that yesterday in her in her live. She sure did. And it totally cracked me up. And I'm gonna show you guys those two moments in her live from yesterday that she proved that she does have a little snap, maybe even a little bit of gangster in her. All right, I'll be right back. I'll start to respond.
Good morning to the chaos we ride.
So when I get texts, my own ideas.
Wake up, Sam. He's reborn again. One step forward from where he's been. Turn up the noise, flip the script today. Lights on, Sam. We've got dues to pay. A world on fire, but the winds still blow. This is morning mayhem. Welcome to the show.
James Collins Cares is in the house. What's up, James? Good to see you, brother. That is my managing moderator. If you guys don't know James, I think everyone here who's in the chat does know James. If you guys have any questions about, if you're a moderator, you have any questions about what's going on in the chat, like, hey, I think this person needs to be blocked, just go ask James, and he can make that decision. If James isn't here, or it's a decision that you just make it. If we block someone accidentally, or it's some, who cares? It's just a chat. It's just a chat. So it won't hurt anyone if someone gets blocked. If you have a wrench, that means I trust you. And if you do it accidentally, and someone gets butthurt about it, oh well, they can. There's a million other podcasters out there talking about these same exact things. I just have a little bit of a different viewpoint, just from my history, from where I've come from and been, and where I'm headed. And we all like to hang out. We're a community here at After the Bars, and especially at the Morning Mayhem show. Tan Louise, good morning to you. It's good to see you, or good afternoon, or good evening to you. Darcy, good to see you. I'm so glad you're here. Sorry we missed you yesterday. Auntie Monkey Pants, she is here in monkey pants. I wonder if she's wearing her monkey pants. Maybe she's wearing monkey pants. You could come with us live today. Anyone pants and show your pants. Not in a weird way. Good to see you. Shell Dub's in the house. Dub. Susie Q, how are you doing, Susie Q? My godmother's name was Susie, and I used to call her Susie Q. Did I ever share that with anyone? Kim, my other's keeper, good morning to you. Good to see you. And that's all we got right now. And that's all right, because I'm still trying to get my podcast legs back under me. Trying to shake off all the weirdness that my life has become. You know what I did when I woke up this morning? I baked cookies. James Collins had me thinking about cookies all day yesterday and all night. And I baked these little oatmeal cranberry ones. And it says from 11 to 12 minutes, they might be not kind of chewy and nice and soft. So I was like, okay. So like at 11 minutes, I checked it and I touched it and they're all just still kind of gooey. And I was like, oh man, that's not even close. They're going to take a couple more minutes. So, I wait a couple more minutes. I go in there and they're still kind of soft. But I was like, man, I'll just give it one more minute. So I went back in and they seemed a little more firmer, but but soft. So I was like, okay, perfect. And of course, people who bake are probably laughing right now. Is that, yeah, of course, idiot. When they're hot, they're going to be, if they're going to be soft and chewy, when they're hot, they're probably going to be gooey. Not like a goop gooey, but like, extra soft, right? And of course, I pulled them out and, this is what I got now. I mean, I don't mind crunchy cookies, but I definitely prefer soft and chewy cookies. 1,000,000%. Never pull the chicken early. That's right, Doc. That's right. Yeah, see, always pull the cookies early. I should know better because like when I scramble eggs, especially for Hazley, when I scramble eggs, I let the hot pan do the final cooking of the scrambled eggs. You know what I mean? I take it off the flame. I let that pan do the final little cook, so they're barely cooked. Not gooey, not even a little bit. Although I probably would prefer a little bit like that, maybe with a little tiny bit of uncooked white. But anyways, I should have known that about the cookies. Next time I know. Next time I know. So yesterday, Candace, I don't even have this shared yet. Hold on, guys. Yesterday, Candace came back, and I loved how she started the show. She hold on. I know it's disrespectful. I'm chewing a cookie. She started the show exactly how I expected, how I was expecting her to start it. Not that she's predictable, but it was exactly how I was feeling. And it's probably exactly how millions of people are feeling, is like, what world do we live in right now? Let's just take, I'm not going to play a lot of her show for you guys. You guys can go check it out. I don't know how she is on copyright or anything like that, even though I'm a huge supporter. But let me see if I can
get comfortable, you guys, because it is going to be a long week. I have so many explosive revelations to share with you, and now it feels especially urgent, right? Don't you feel a sense of urgency right now in the wake of me having learned that France apparently paid for my assassination and that the French Foreign Legion was apparently involved and on the ground at UVU on the day of Charlie Kirk's assassination? And we should probably begin there. Foremost, if you were one of the people online who believed for a single second that it was even a remote possibility that I simply made up a French assassination attempt heading into Thanksgiving week, I don't know, for like attention or something, I sat around and I said, I'm just not getting enough attention. How can I start a global conversation about me? And then I came up with...
Yeah, she... everyone, especially all these pastors, these TPUSA pastors, just coming out and saying like, oh, she's lying, she's making this up. It's all for the money, for the clicks and views. That is just, it's so disingenuous. When people tell like little lies like that, or they try to lie on someone, or they accuse someone of something that's I don't want to say obviously the truth or her truth or what she's going through, but it's painfully clear. I don't want to say obvious, or else if it was obvious, we would all agree on this point. Or maybe some of you don't agree with me, and that's great. And now at the end of this, we're gonna talk about it. So if you have an opposing view or something that you want to talk to me and the rest of the community about, lay it on me. We do not we welcome critical thinking and oppositional theory here on this show. and it just makes things more exciting for everyone. So, but to say that she's making that, it makes no sense. If you followed her through her career or know about her history and where she's come from and how she's come up through, this would be a complete, huge, major staged crash out if she was making all that up, because the government could just come say, no, she's full of shit. And so that's basically what my show is mostly about today, is if she's so full of S, then why isn't Trump, the Macrons, Kash Patel, anyone, a representative from Homeland Security, anyone, why isn't anyone coming out and saying, yeah, we got her voicemail, or we got, the document she sent us and it's all BS and we believe she's made this up. But they want to have all their little plants in not just in mainstream media, but even here on YouTube and in the podcast world and on Rumble, like they represent different branches of our government, and to say like, oh yeah, she's probably crazy, but in an unofficial way. Why doesn't anyone come out officially and debunk her, prove her lies? Why doesn't Brigitte Macron, or whatever his name is, come out and say, hey, I'm a woman, or whatever. I get it. You don't have, no one should have to force you to do that. And I get it, the politics of transgenderism and all of that. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful to anyone who's transgender. But what I'm saying is, at this level, and especially because that you have brought a lawsuit against someone, where all you would need to do would be to have a doctor go over, or a DNA test or something that is not yours, or bought and paid by you, to prove her wrong. And then you've won the lawsuit. You've made her look like a laughingstock of the world, but no one's doing that. And that's just on about the Brigitte Macron stuff. Now, about everything that's happening here in the U.S., not only Charlie Kirk's investigation that's ongoing about Charlie Kirk's assassination, but about like her claims about the bought and paid for, possibly, allegedly, French Foreign Legionnaires. Sorry, that was a totally dumb French accent. Threat on Candace's life. I mean, there's only two reasons why they would be silent. One reason is that they're investigating it continuously, and that there is something there. Or they absolutely know there's something there. Everyone's getting scared because she is saying that our government was in the know. And then everything with all the Egyptian planes. And I'm sorry if you're not caught up on all the Candace and Charlie Kirk content. I apologize for that. I'm going to be talking about some things that might not make sense, but I'll try not to do it too much. But all the Egyptian planes that are anomalies and that followed the Kirks, for a couple of years, and there's some new things that have come out, and then of course all the financial things. I truly do think, and I don't care if this is slanderous or not, that Tyler Boyer, I truly do think that he was skimming money from TPUSA. I don't think he had anything to do with Charlie's assassination, but he was probably secretly going, yes. Or maybe he was not doing that, and he was bummed out because he was able to get it over on Charlie, but now they're going to bring in some new people, and he probably won't be able to get it over on anyone else. You know, and strangely enough, Charlie, he was aware that something was wrong, and a week before he was assassinated, called for a major audit, not by the normal people that do their audit. Like everyone wants to say at TPUSA, like, oh, we get audited every year. Yeah, it's by their in-house auditors, or it's a company that they form to do their own audit. It's all super fishy and shady. That's a whole nother story. I'm just here talking about why no one is speaking up to debunk Candace, because now's your chance. Everyone wants to talk all this shit about her and about what she's doing, and the reason why, like, I support her is because I've been indicted federally, and a lot of those things I was guilty of. There's a couple of things that I was not guilty of, and the government lied about me. So I'm all about truth and transparency, and getting to the bottom of it and exposing corruption. I mean, it's not like my main goal in life is to do all that and to be like this investigative journalist. No, I'm just a cat on YouTube that wants to talk in his golden years. I know I don't look like I'm in my golden years, but I almost am. Couple years, and I'm riding this final wave on out the door to eternal life. So that's not like my mission is to like expose but I definitely want to react, and I have some insight on it, and that's why we're here today, is to talk about that. I'm super interested in what you guys think about a lot of this, and just kind of save your questions and comments for the end. Again, you can also make sure your comment and question is heard and not missed. I'll try not to miss anything with the super chat. Those are always greatly appreciated. The channel does run, and I'm able to be here because of the generosity from the viewers and subscribers, and also my awesome members who have been members for over 9 months with no members only content, and I really appreciate that. That is continued support for this cause, even when I was dark for a while, and now that we're back and feeling pretty good about things, maybe you guys can twist my arm and I'll make some members only content. It's not, look, and every time I try to create members only content, I'm like, yeah, but I'm just gonna use Annie Monkey Pants as an example. But Auntie Monkey Pants isn't a member, so I want her to be a part of this, or I want Shell Dub and everyone to be a part of it. So I end up not making it members only, or else or I want everyone to see it, and I get it, and that's why YouTube is like created like that, it's members only for a couple hours. You get to lay your eyes on this amazing content first for 120 minutes. It's absurd. But at least you're getting some kind of value for your membership. So just know I am hyper aware of that. But I lost a lot of members. At the end of winter last year, I had over 365 members. It was crazy. I think I have 15 now. 15. But to be fair and honest, most of those members was from how you can donate memberships. It was from donated memberships, and I get it. I've been donated so many memberships that I didn't continue the the privilege of being a member on, you know, other people's channels. A few I have. But yeah. So I don't know. So yeah, let's get to I want to play a little bit of this, but I want to show you the two moments in this where, you know, Candace is I think she's getting frustrated and she's getting a little that gangster's about to come out of her, and I welcome it, and so should everyone else. Because I like when she has that snap and she's like, you know, and she's a Christian. She doesn't swear, you know, per se, or, you know, she tries not to swear. Not that by not swearing makes you a good Christian or not, you know, but it's definitely, you know, you want to reveal God's character with your speech and your actions. And so I think she mostly tries to do that, even though she is a Catholic. But you know what? I shouldn't say that, because Catholics are Christians and they are my brothers and sisters. And for real, I am not intelligent enough to speak on it, what the main differences are anyway, except for, you know, like catechism and the saints and praying to Mother Mary. But anyways, I digress. Let's get back to this. Let me see where we're at.
This idea of creating fan fiction where I imagined myself as the victim of a multinational state plot to murder me. Yeah, if you thought that for a single second, that it was for funsies, because I'm not busy or anything, then you're just not sober. You're not paying attention.
She said for funsies, you know, if you just, you're not sober, you're just a drunk. You're an alcoholic drunk on the street corner who just happens to have a smartphone that can watch my content and comment on it.
To anything, and you need to wake up real fast. We're going to move quickly through a lot of things this week because everyone in the world needs to wake up to how things actually work. LOL to the idea of Western democracy. LOL to the idea that you can win in life and that everything's basically set the stage for a meritocracy and you can get ahead. No, actually, as you learn things, you become a target. You become a target to people that operate in the shadows. And
hey guys,
that
sorry
is,
to interrupt the
I
video,
think, what we are
but remember, hit that like button down below. It really helps the channel to grow bigger and better and more diverse. Not that weird, creepy kind of government diverse. I'll Samsplain it for you if you want. You want to hear some Samsplaining? Just like the video down below.
learning in the wake of the last couple of months, especially. Now, going back to November 25th, I obviously tweeted exactly what I was informed. Okay, I'm going to read that tweet to you in its entirety. Urgent. 2 days ago,
So I'm gonna let her read this tweet, and then I'm gonna go to just a couple spots in the video. I just want her to read this tweet that she made for the people that don't know what's going on with her. I know it's gonna seem redundant and like, oh my god, even I didn't want to sit through it yesterday. I just tried to fast forwarded through it, but I'm gonna play it a little bit anyways.
I was contacted by a high-ranking employee of the French government. After determining this person's position and proximity to the French couple, I have deemed the information that they gave me to be credible enough to share publicly in the event that something happens. In short, this person claims the Macrons have executed upon and paid for my assassination. Yes, you read that correctly. More specifically, that the green light was given to a small team in the National Gendarmerie Intervention Group. I am told there is one Israeli that is on the assassination squad and that plans were formalized. Again, this person provided concrete proof that they are well placed within the French government apparatus. Further to this point, this person claims that Charlie Kirk's assassin trained with the French Legion 13th Brigade with multi-state involvement. Journalist Xavier Poussard's life is also at risk. This is deadly serious. The head of state of France apparently wants us both dead and has authorized professional units to carry this out. I ask that every person retweet and share this. I do not know who in the American government can be trusted since this source claims that our leaders are aware. But I have more specific information, which is definitively verifiable, should they care to reach out to me. And to the brave official in France who did this because they were so moved by the evil of Charlie's public execution to risk their own life, may God bless you truly. Let all be revealed. Now, I got even more specific, right? I said there was a paper trail that Macron allegedly paid $1.5 million. And I am saying,
absolutely remarkable. I mean, you know, I want to say unbelievable, but I believe it. You know, for those of you that hadn't heard that yet, or maybe had heard a rumor that there was a. Let me get this thing on the side of my cheek. I try to be cool, like these guys up here who put the big dips in. You know, like I just have my little Zen, pouch, and I try to be cool like that, but it just feels foreign to me. I feel like I had like a VCR in between my gums. That's it. Anyways, it's astonishing to me that first of all, amazing that someone that is close to the Macrons and that is in the French government allegedly, hopefully, it's all, true. Well, I mean, it would be nice if it wasn't true, but you know what I mean? Hopefully it's all legit, like that. It's a credible threat. That she was able to receive it, and now that she can take, now nothing bad would happen to her. Now, having said that, and I know I disassociated a little bit. I had one thought, and now I'm on to another. But could you imagine if Charlie was assassinated, and then Candace, like right after, was assassinated? And then what would they try to do? Blame it on, a transgender or someone else, maybe someone on the right this time, or, they pretend to be on the right, but they're really on the left, or they pretend to be on the left, but they're really on the right. Whatever like narrative that they try to feed us. Would we believe that? Would we believe that another lone shooter happened to get by all of everyone's security and the things that are always supposed to be in place, but just happened to not be in place for the perfect storm, the perfect, pilots call it the X factor of things to happen for the end catastrophe. The X factor being, the wind was just right. The rain was, affecting this, and, it was dark outside. That was like an X factor of things that created this disaster. Without any one of those things, there's no X factor. But all these like, quote unquote lone shooters happen to fall into these weird X factor of things. And I haven't done a show on Thomas Crooks, the guy who nicked our president's ear when he was campaigning. But a lot has come out, while I was dark for those couple of months about that. That is very, very, very strange. And they tried to push the same thing with Charlie Kirk, that it's, this guy doesn't have a large presence online, and he's a disgruntled, whatever. Well, come to find out with Thomas Crooks, and I'm not going to get too deep into it because I don't want to get sidetracked and start Sam-splaining a bunch of shit. But that Thomas Crooks was actually most likely, allegedly, was that enough disclaimer there for you guys? That he was a transgender, and that didn't come out. until like now. But he was involved in some of those communities. And so, it can be one way or the other, or crisscrossed, or whatever, I know I'm not articulating that too succinctly, but you guys get what I'm saying. If you've been here a while, you definitely can read through the Samsplain. So there's just no way that we would buy a second assassination. So would they be bold enough to do something like that? I think so. And I think so for this reason. And it's strictly money, always follow the money. And the Macrons are about to lose a ton of cash when they lose the lawsuit that they brought against Candace Owens. And imagine, and our government is staying silent on this. No one has talked about it in the executive branch or the judicial branch of our government about a foreign entity, a foreign nation bringing a lawsuit against a podcaster. But for anything, someone should be talking about free speech, that this is her free speech. And that she's being sued for her free speech. Now, the argument can be made like, what does she care? What do we care if as Theo Vaughn has said, that she might have a weenie, that what is it? How does it affect us? It doesn't. We're not a bunch of transgender hating people out here. And if you're a Christian, you pray for them just as you would pray for anyone else that's living a life of sin. And so there's no hate involved with a lot of us. I can't speak for everyone, but generally our us collectively, as a society, to each his own. I truly wholeheartedly believe that. And I hope that doesn't come off as naive, but I believe that in my heart of hearts. Even when I was in a how should I say it? A prison gang that was racially motivated, I didn't see a lot of hate. I seen a lot of like, some guys, but it was more of just what they had learned from their upbringing, and they didn't know any different. But in their hearts, there was a heart in there somewhere. I mean, everyone can be saved, I think everyone has the ability to love and wants to receive love, even those of us who choose to be in hateful groups and things like that. But I guess that's for a whole nother show. So I would say that, yeah, who cares if she does or not? But, there's a lot more to it. She plucked her husband out when he was 13 or 14 years old from one of her classes that she was teaching. So that's where the story begins. And then if you're reporting on that story, then you have to report on everything. And it just so happens that, she's most likely or he or she is most likely, a deviant. So I think there's a lot at stake. I think for them to put an assassination attempt or to pay for someone to assassinate her is not that hard to believe, because there is a lot at stake. Not just the money they would lose, but the reputation, because it would all just disappear unless someone else picked up the torch that Candace most likely would have dropped had she been assassinated, or possibly, God forbid, still might be. So there's a lot to it, a lot more than I probably even know or have the ability to comment on or react to. So that's just kind of what I believe, how I believe it to be. Let me see where we're at on this video again.
Saying allegedly, because until I can physically see with my own eyes inside of these accounts and verify the transfer of that payment, it's of course alleged. The amount is alleged. 2 assassins were hired, one Israeli, one French Canadian woman. Okay, a man and a woman. And I also said that the money ran through the elite gentleman Club des Cent. Again, I was very specific. And I asserted that the French Foreign Legion, which was a legion and a group that I had never heard about prior to this notification, were involved in Charlie Kirk's assassination. Okay, I don't follow military stuff. So me even mentioning specific gendarmerie, you have to assume that I got this information from somebody. Now, if you are, in fact, currently at this moment, the first man of France, that would be Brigitte Macron, and you are currently suing a podcaster in America named Candace Owens for defamation, for telling the truth, right? And the story that you are trying to sell to the public is that you were really deep down in your heart, you really believe that you are a woman and Candace is just crazy and desperate for clicks and willing to defame you for money. Then Candace Owens publicly proclaiming and accusing you of something not akin to, directly implicated in her assassination, a claim which has gone viral. When I say viral, I mean just the tweet alone had over 100,000 retweets and 45 million impressions on X alone, okay? This would be your unique opportunity as the French first man to prove your case about Candace to the public, right? In the court of public opinion. This would be your time to slam dunk.
Yeah, and that's basically what I came on here today to talk about. It's absolutely your case to slam dunk, and just know if they could, they would. And so let me fast forward a little bit, and that way we're just not talking about this, or I'm not talking about this all day. So Adam Sosnick of the PBD podcast, Patrick Bet Davis, I think is his name, has a podcast called the PBD podcast. I watch it. It's usually pretty good. I think Patrick Bet Davis is a brilliant man when it comes to business, when it comes to politics. He's super fair. I don't feel that he lands one way or another on anything. But anyway, he has a little sidekick, and I say little sidekick on purpose because he really is just a little amoeba of a man. But he provides an entertainment value, which I enjoy. And here's a little bit of that. And this is where the gangster comes out of Candace, and I think it's perfect. I think it's just perfect.
Say that Adam Sosnick is reaching levels of absurdity here rather than at all trying to prod the narrative of whether or not there was actually an assassination attempt on my life. He decides to respond to this allegation by saying that I have no famous friends. I kid you not. This is the level of insincerity that you can almost say it's laughable at this moment of people that are engaged in the sport of politics.
Hence, I'm laughing. So
take a listen to what Adam Sosnick had to say on Patrick Bet David's podcast.
Disgusting thing. Forget about what she said about Israel and Jews and BLM and liberals. This is friendship stuff. The most valuable currency you have are the relationships you have, your friends. In my opinion,
I agree. But the caliber of friend, I don't think really matters. But anyway,
she's burned every bridge she's ever been associated with, whether that's Turning Point USA, whether that's a Daily Wire, whether that's PragerU, Charlie Kirk, Steven Crowder, I don't know what's going on even in this room, but it's not like we're loving what she's doing these days. I'm asking you a serious question.
Wait, let me rephrase that. I said caliber friend. I meant a status of a friend. The caliber friend is very important. But your friend's status, I guess. And this is what he's talking about.
Who are her friends at this point?
Well,
to
I
me,
do
she's
think
very
has
lonely.
friends. No, I think she's very close with Tucker. I do think she has a group
How many
of
more
friends.
can you name, though? Other than Tucker,
yeah.
Genuine question. I'm not trying to throw her under the bus. Who?
I'm not trying to throw her under the bus as I'm throwing her under a big red truck bus. He does that often on the show. I'm not trying to slander, but that dude's a big POS.
Who's Candace's friends? Who are her allies? Can we name a name? Anyone?
Oh,
anyone?
She's got more than you would believe.
Name a name.
No, she's got a lot of them.
I'm sure that there's
She does.
Twitter army out there.
Yeah,
but what famous names advocates are saying I'm with Candace? Tucker maybe? Who else?
Who cares? Who literally gives an F if she has no famous friends that are supporting her? But I assure you, notice I didn't use the P word, the promise, but I assure you that she does, but they don't have to come out and make a public statement for her. She's a big girl. She can stand on her own and claim the things that she claims, which is her right. And again, free speech.
No,
I can't name one.
It's just, I want to guys just because we got to all wake up to this matrix. Okay. First and foremost, nothing he is saying is true. The first thing I'd like to clarify is I have never been friends with Steven Crowder. I just feel like that is really not good dirt to throw on my name. I just have better intuition than that. Secondly, my friend Charlie Kirk just got shot in the neck, hence the reason we're doing this entire podcast investigation into what actually happened on that day. Now, you seem to be naming employers regarding the Daily Wire. I am still friends with every single one of my colleagues that I was friends when I went in there. And yeah, when you leave a job, you don't tend to hang out with management on your way.
Especially if management is Ben Shapiro. I mean, good God. Like to say that she burnt the bridge of Ben Shapiro, that's a plus. That's a big check in the pro column.
Way out. So I'm not sure what you're referencing here. If you mean that I am not one of those basic bitches who needs to post every second of when I'm hanging out with people so that people think that I'm cool and I'm surrounded by individuals,
She said basic bitches. When I heard that, I was just like, yes. She's like, I ain't no basic bitch that posts me with movie stars and exactly. If she did, she would be less credible. Agreed. I think she'd be way less credible if she did.
You would be right, because I'm a person who grew up on Kanye West's music, and it's so funny that I was blasting his early music, one of his first songs, All Falls Down, and he speaks about this. This is how they create the matrix. Insecure men speak like that, okay? They want people who are insecure to allow terrible things to happen because they say, well, you can hang out with me. You can hang out. All you have to do is just not talk about the Epstein files, and you might get invited to Mar-a-Lago. Don't you want to be invited to Mar-a-Lago? Don't you want to go to Mar-a-Lago? Then why don't you look away when we talk about children being abused? It's so weird. Like, don't you want to have like really all of the invites to Mar-a-Lago, and you can hang out, you can get dressed up and hang out with cool people in Hollywood if you just look the other way when children are being abused? This is that mentality, okay? It's disgusting, it's gross, but more importantly, it is insecure. So
yeah, it's super insecure. And for him to say that just shows his insecurity, but he does it often in the show. So that's the first instance where I was like, okay, she's got a little snap to her, right? And then she talks about, so on the show, on a previous show, right after Charlie was assassinated, they had a guy on that works with TPUSA, and he said that her and Charlie have not been friends since 2017, and that they haven't been friends since 2017 that she hasn't worked with TPUSA in over 5 years, when in fact she had been doing events with them all last year, which was just, a few short months before, and one this year, a few short months before his assassinations. So for this gentleman to say that is not only just disingenuous, but it's an outright lie. And he did it to just be a part of, of the conversation, because they were really kind of pushing him to, like, they were holding his feet to the fire. Like, you work there, tell us that, that Charlie kicked her to the curb, when really, truly, they were just best friends.
So I want to remind you guys that your real friends do not need to be famous, okay? My best friends are not famous, and you should be close with your family. You should have real value in your life. Part of the matrix requires you to have this sort of instinct to think celebrities are...
Sorry, guys, I was muted. Damn it. How long was I muted for? Okay. Yeah. Sorry, guys. Let me just back up a little bit. Just a minute. Okay, cool. Thank you, Ned. So basically what I was saying was that, what did I say? What was I saying? Okay. Yeah. So that was the first instance of her, kind of having a little snap to her by saying, did you guys hear the part? Put a 1 in the chat if you guys heard the part of her saying that that she isn't a basic bitch. No, I think you guys did. Oh, only okay. Just very shortly. Thank you, Doc. I really appreciate that, Doc 223, for letting me know. Okay, cool. You guys all heard it. So after the show, so on another show, this guy who works for TPUSA came out and said that they hadn't been friends since 2017, her and Charlie, and that she hasn't done any TPUSA events in over 5 years, when really she had been doing shows for all last year, and she did one this year before he was assassinated. So that not only was it disingenuous, but it's an outright lie. The guy just lied. But anyway, so he, right after the show, sent her PR team an email apologizing for, saying that, and said that he was kind of pushed into a corner. So her response to that email is epic. Let's see. Let me just fast forward a little bit.
Drunk. Truly, they're all just a bunch of drunks hanging out in DC. That's the reality of the political field. Get real value in your life. And that's what I want to say about that before I get into some of your questions. Poll is still running, by the way. I will tell you the total when we come back from this brief break. All right, you guys, I want to remind you about Pure Talk and all the time that I have been endorsing my wireless company, Pure/Owens. Okay, we actually are going to pull that email, because you know how the internet is if I don't post it. This is that mentality, okay? It's disgusting. It's gross. Things all falls down. And he speaks about this. This is how they create the matrix. Insecure men speak like that, okay? They want people who are insecure to allow terrible things to happen, because they say, well, you can hang out with me. You can hang out. All you have to do is just not talk about the Epstein files, and you might get invited to Mar-a-Lago. Don't you want to be invited to Mar-a-Lago? Don't you want to go to Mar-a-Lago?
Stay with me, guys. I'm gonna show you guys something super cool, but just stay with me. And then right after this, I'm gonna get to the chat. We're gonna have a discussion about it, hang out for a little bit, and see how you guys are doing.
Then why don't you look away when we talk about children being abused? It's so weird. Like, don't you want to have like really all of the invites to Mar-a-Lago, and you can hang out, you can get dressed up and mentality, okay? It's disgusting. It's gross. But more importantly, it is insecure. So I want to remind you guys that your real friends do not need to be famous. Okay. My best friends are not famous, and you should be close with your family. You should have real value in your life. Part of the matrix requires you to have this sort of instinct to think celebrities are cool and that they glitter and they're golden. The majority of them are pretty effed up and drunk. That's the reality.
Yeah,
No,
that's the reality.
and by the way, on the subject of who the kind of people that he's referring to, it was notoriously Eric Bolling that sat across from Adam when they attacked me over Charlie Kirk and lied and said that I hadn't been friends with Charlie Kirk since 2017. After that episode, Eric Bolling sent me an email and apologized and said it was Adam's fault. And he didn't even know Adam's name. I think he called him Sam in the email. I should actually pull it and I'll post it on Instagram. Didn't even know, threw Adam and PBD's entire team under the bus in 3 seconds and said, I just want to apologize with you, Candace, because that's how politics work. They all stab each other in the back, and they all do it because they think they're on the pursuit of like fame and riches. We are not going to save the West in general from the absolute sexual deviants that run it, the liars and the crooks that run the West, if we have the attitude that we need to be well liked by famous people who are all drunk. Truly, they're all just a bunch of drunks hanging out in DC.
Okay, so she talks about the email, right there, and then when she gets to the comment section, she posts the email, and then just listen to what she says. It's so epic.
Do you believe the federal government worked behind the scenes to try to bankrupt me over Brigitte, which is something that I had never considered until now and learning about what goes on in this corner of Wilmington, Delaware. 24,856 people voted. Oh, now it's about to cross 25,000 people voted. 93% of you say yes. Okay. Just making sure that you're all having the same gut instinct of me of why the heck did they sue in Delaware? What is this never before seen lawsuit? It is a multinational state secret, which is Brigitte Macron. Brigitte Macron's true origins, what Brigitte Macron was involved in the United States while living as Jean-Michel Trogneau. And by the way, I think there's another identity in between there that happens potentially in the 80s for Brigitte before he emerges as a woman. And I think it's quite dark, whatever that secret is, to be honest with you. But we had kind of gotten sidetracked on becoming Brigitte, and we should maybe get back involved in it. Anyways, getting into the top comment from the last episode and
I think I got past it.
Okay, we actually are going to pull that email because you know how the internet is. If I don't post a receipt, they'll say it never happened. So we're going to pull that email that Eric Bolling sent about Adam because it really demonstrates the fickleness of politics. First, getting to the poll, I asked you with all that information, do you believe the federal government worked behind the scenes to try to bankrupt me over Brigitte, which is something that I had never considered until now and learning about 153 gut instinct, true origins. What, by the way, for last from Nick Tyler Robinson, that was actually something that I had never considered. As you're on a list, Robin Tucker would be high on it. Incident, it's almost like Tucker and I were being threatened from the United States military. And I should really say.
So yeah, just real quick, I'm just going to talk about that real quick. Andrew Colvett said that, it was supposed to be you and that her and Tucker are on a list. Well, like what list? Where's the list? Who has the list? The CIA hasn't said anything about it. The Big Dog administration hasn't said anything about it. I say Big Dog just because I don't want to say the T word. Hasn't said shit about it. So what list?
The global state military, because I do believe that we are run by the military. And that the idea of democracy is an utter delusion. Now,
amen.
Okay, great. We have the email just to fact check this because it's funny, and we should now call him Alex for the rest of our lives. Eric wrote, "Hey man, this was an email, by the way, to my PR. Tell Candace I meant no harm to her. It was that Alex guy who kept at it. He tried to corner me and he found out. If she wants to talk, I'll call her. If not, no worries. I've lost too many people in my life to get too emotional about these things. I've always respected CO. That moment got blown out of proportion. Anyway, I remain." And my message back was, keep that same energy. You went onto a podcast. You lied about my relationship with Charlie right after he died, when I was still reeling from so many emotions. I was then being attacked and lied about a very real relationship that I had in my life. And you're just going to privately email this little sucker apology. Keep the same energy. Do it publicly. Say I lied or I misspoke, whichever it is.
She goes, this little sucker apology. That is snap. I'm telling you, you guys might not think it is, but by saying she ain't a basic bitch and that this dude just sent her a sucker ass apology, that's a little bit of snap. So anyways, I know I got a lot of enjoyment out of that, and probably more enjoyment than you guys are getting out of it. But yeah, I thought that was just epic. Candace is the shit, man. And if any of you guys disagree, let me know in the chat. Just put a comment or a super chat, and I will read your disagreement. And if you have a question about anything that I've talked about, or anything about the Mayhem show or After the Bars or my history, go ahead, put a QQQ and then ask your question, and I'll read that here in a second. Yeah, I think that's all we're going to put on that. I just want to.
He's not done that. He's not moved to that. I don't believe.
So also with this situation, and Baron Coleman has talked a lot about this. There's a lot of TPUSA pastors that have come out in opposition to Candace and her investigation. And I only have one thing to say about this, and maybe tomorrow I'll show some clips and bits and pieces of some of the sermons of some of the lies that they are spreading about her and about the investigation and about the things that they want us to believe about that country that's over there in the Middle East, that we can't really talk about too much, or else we get shadow banned. I'm going to talk about that tomorrow, and those pastors are literally, if they're not preaching from their itinerary, they're not preaching from the Bible. They're either preaching from their itinerary, talking about all the cool things they're doing, or they're talking about Candace. And if I go to church every Sunday, if I went to church and my pastor opened up the sermon and did over half the sermon about Candace Owens, I would be really upset. I would be really upset. If you want to, briefly mention, Charlie Kirk's assassination and how it's kind of, ignited this revival in the United States and possibly the world, to bring people to the altar and to give their lives over to Christ, then that's a different thing. You're talking about the harvest, the harvesting of souls to Christ and to God. But if you're talking about conspiracies and Candace Owens and what she's talking about on her podcast, I'll find a different church, or at least be the fruit inspector that goes to my pastor privately and lets him know that's at least not cool with me. So I'm going to do a show on that tomorrow. Actually, I just decided. So be here or be square tomorrow, and that should be a pretty cool show. All right, let's get to the chat. I'm excited about this. I had a great conversation with some of the old Samsters yesterday. It was kind of like my coming back episode. And there was a lot of you that were there yesterday that were here since the beginning, and it was pretty awesome. Just right off the rip here, I got a comment from Beta. Oops, I'm in the wrong thing. Beta says, and hey Beta, how's it going? I didn't get to say hi to you during the beginning of the show, but it's awesome that you're here, and it's really good to see you, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I talked a lot about the people that I hadn't seen in a while yesterday, and you have been missed by me, and I get it. It's my fault that I haven't been doing the shows, but so I accept all the responsibility for kind of the community not being able to get together and talk, and but Beta says, Sam, I probably have opposite political views to you. Maybe not now, but yeah, possibly from the beginning of the show. Political views to you, but I don't like to limit myself to being stuck only in my bubble. That's why I like hearing your opinion, but what Candace is saying is just insane. Wow. I don't really know what to say about that. Yeah, it sounds insane for sure. And I'm so glad that you shared that with us, because I know a lot of people do think that, and I'm not here to try to convince anyone otherwise. But I guess, and we can't really do it here, but I would like to hear why you think that's insane. Maybe we can do a whole show on that. Like, let's not debate, but let's have a discussion about why so many of us believe her to be on a righteous path, and let's just leave righteousness out of it, or just a path for truth about what's going on with Charlie Kirk and with her situation, and why a lot of us believe the opposite. It's super interesting to me. I always get blindsided and gut punched when I feel so strongly about something, and others don't. I guess that might be a little high side, but I guess what I mean is perspective or perceptions rather are just an amazing enigma to me, and I say that because, like, when my perceptions of, like, even my life around me, my marriage, my relationship with my 4 daughters, when I feel my perceptions becoming negative or in a way that seems almost paranoid, I try to either pray and read my Bible and do something self-healing for myself, but really what I do is I go to an AA meeting. Oddly enough, maybe it's because I am an addict and an alcoholic, and I have when my perceptions get twisted, they usually get twisted from that addicted mindset. And so I always go check in in an AA meeting, and it always and when I go to meetings too, it does get me back connected with God too, because God saved my life, along with a lot of hard work by me. I get it, but my desires changed overnight because God removed those from me. It had to have been that. You don't go from constantly wanting to feed the compulsion to drink alcohol or to use drugs to feel better or to fill a void, and you don't go from that being your day-to-day obsession to it not even being a vision in your rearview mirror anymore. So for that reason alone, I truly believe God is real. But yeah, that's amazing to me. Thank you so much for sharing that, Beta. I really appreciate it. And you've always been an awesome addition to this community, and I'm glad you're here today. Truly, I'm truly glad you're here today. Jesus does save, and He saved me. That is for real, for real. Okay, I'm going to go backwards. I know you guys hate it when I do this. I know you used to, but I'm going to go backwards in the chat because I didn't get a chance to star any comments or questions. Thank you. I appreciate that. I adore you too. I do. Now you're going to make me cry. And I truly mean that. Can't have this big tattooed ex-prison shot caller crying on a podcast. I see some comments and questions that you guys have put without the CCC or the QQQ. I'll try to get to those. I know StreamYard was automatically if you put a question mark at the end, was automatically putting them to the side, but it doesn't look like they're doing that anymore. They used to do it, and it was pretty awesome. Okay, let me see. Awakened says, Charlie Kirk's platform, please do a deep dive, learn more about what they stand for and how they are moving forward currently. As well, no way to sum it up in one vid, to be honest. Yeah, just to do a show on TPUSA and where they're at today and where they're headed it's so convoluted, and my personal feelings are involved, and it's ugly. It's ugly. And maybe it's always been ugly, but now that I think one of the most amazing speaker, debater, Christians that have ever lived have left this world. And I know that's a bold statement, but I truly believe it to be true. I don't know where I might be biased because we want TPUSA to be Charlie Kirk because that was his baby. He formed his idea for TPUSA started when he was 17 years old. Wrap your mind around that. And he just had a birthday where he turned 31. So in just over a decade, he started this juggernaut of a political movement that aligned with a lot of my values. There were some things I didn't like, and it was how he would lightweight troll, maybe not on purpose, people of color, the LGBTQ community. I felt like he would say things that could be misconstrued to be racist and bigoted and judgmental on purpose because he was a smart guy. And it was easy for the people on the left or others that just were looking for things to be wrong with his message to use to really stand up and say like, no, you're a racist. No, you're that, when he truly wasn't, in my opinion. And so that I did not like about Charlie. But that one thing to all the great things, I can live with. I mean, it's the exact opposite with me. There's so many bad things. And I say this self-deprecatingly, just to maybe try to be a little charming, but it just, with me, I feel like it's the other way around. There's that one good thing about me, and possibly it's my heart, but then there's like all these other bad things about me. True, not true. I say that jokingly on the square, but anyways, let's get back to the chat. This is going to be a long morning. Okay, I'm going to just keep going backwards. Question. I love Candace too, Andy Monkey Pants. My other keeper, Kim says, question, what is TPUSA? They're basically a political organization that support young people and try to get more young people involved in government and in politics. So they did a lot of debates on campuses, things like that. Not to droll on about it a little bit, but I want a good answer to that also. So I'm just going to say, what is TPUSA? And let's see let's get the short answer from, I'm even going to ask for a short answer because ChatGPT, especially 5.1, can be long-winded. Short answer. And I never thought to do that, to put short answer afterwards. I think I'm gonna start doing that more. So Kim, here's a quick little answer. TPUSA, Turning Point USA, is a conservative nonprofit that works to promote right-wing conservative politics on high school and college campuses, especially ideas like limited government, free markets, and fiscal responsibility. So basically what I said, but just more succinctly. Thank you so much for the question. I learned something. I accidentally bought 3 golden doodles, and they are currently scratching my face as I post this. Is golden doodles, is that like a dog or something, Doc? If it is, lucky you, man. My daughter is begging for our new puppy for Christmas, and her mother is saying no, and I'm gonna do it anyway. Last year, my wife came home, and my daughter and I were setting up this hamster world in the living room. She was not happy. And then our cat ate the hamster. So Overdrive says our investigation starts with the crotch. Sorry, I'm reading comments I shouldn't be reading. Okay, I'm just going backwards, guys. No sound. Well, let's just, I'm going to go to the bottom, and you guys go ahead and give me some questions and answers, and we'll start the conversation again. My other keeper says, comment, no crying. It's not allowed, for real. Men who have any dignity. Oh, wait, that's backward. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I I'm an emotional guy. Ever since I got saved and am not polluted with drugs and alcohol, I just have a lot of making up to do. Is the only answer I can glean from being more emotional than I used to be. I'm definitely very strong at the same time. My dad, I had seen my dad cry. The first time I see my dad cry was when he was telling me and my brother that my parents were getting divorced. And then he would cry almost every weekend when he would take us home to my mom. He would cry saying goodbye. And he was just an amazing, he still is, not was, it just is an amazing man. And I'm so glad that he is my dad. And I wish he could hear that from me. And, I try to tell him on the phone, and he just gets, embarrassed and doesn't like to hear things like that. But I wish he knew I was telling the world that on the internet. And he doesn't even understand the internet. He doesn't have a smartphone, no email, no anything. So he wouldn't even know what that even means. Oh, I love that, Ned. Awakened Reflection says, if we were able to have discussions freely without fear of biased retribution, I guarantee that we all have much more in common than not. Absolutely. I absolutely believe that also. That is beautifully put. I'm going to screenshot that so I don't forget it. And maybe that can be a topic for us someday, or maybe for you and me, Awaken, to do a show. Wouldn't that be amazing? Yeah, Tan Louise, and Tan Louise 1973 probably has a different perspective on this, her being from Great Britain, I believe. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but Tan Louise says, when I saw people claiming Brigitte was a bloke, I admit I laughed. It was nuts. As did a lot of people in the EU. And I was just amazed. Like at Pierce Morgan has like a $200,000 bet with Candace that she is wrong. Of course, to go to their favorite charity. So I get it, because you guys, it would be like who would be a good example of here in the States, but someone that we like have known for years, that's been a public figure, especially like a political public figure, to say that, that they were a dude. Well, I mean, they do say that Michelle Obama was a man. I absolutely don't believe that, but maybe that's exactly how you guys feel in the EU. Like, there's no way one of our, state, I know it's not a state, but but it's like in the EU, they're kind of like states now. One of our state figures is a woman, but used to be a man. That would be crazy. That would be crazy to us. Just like I feel like Michelle Obama, but I mean, we all know Michelle is Michelle, and I have more in common with my Democrat neighbor than I do Republican in DC, and vice versa. Yeah, I bet. Are you from DC, Doc? Or that area back there? I think I've known that. Oh, thank you so much for the love for my dad. My dad he's amazing, man. And, he's just a old factory worker, General Motors, worked in factory his whole life, has lost his hearing because of, being around that big machinery. He did it. God, he did his absolute best with me and my brothers. His absolute best. Kim has another comment. It takes a lot of strength to admit your weakness. It does. Being in federal prison and becoming who I became in there, you could not show a little bit of weakness, but and this is a funny story that I have told when I do my story on other podcasts. all my true friends in prison, whenever we'd be in the TV room and we'd be watching like a movie, and it would be like an emotional part, they would all like, because I always sat in the back, they would all like look back at me and they'd be like, because they knew I would cry at like movie, like I would get choked up whenever I would see, of course, a father with their daughter, or even just any child, but usually, especially if it was like a father and their daughter having a moment in a movie or TV show, or weddings really affect me like crazy. I don't understand why, except for the last wedding I went to, that they would always like, but don't cry, MFer. And I'd be like, I ain't crying. I'm crying. I'm a tough skinhead, bro. Yeah. But anyways, yeah, it does take a lot of strength, especially when you fought it for so long. And then, all those tools that you had to keep it down, I didn't grieve my wife being killed for 22 years. 22 years it took for me to grieve her in the right way. And I remember the meeting, because it was in a group, and when I was in treatment, and what's crazy is that they weren't really trying to get it out of me. I'm sure it was in my treatment plan that, but it'd been so long. I don't think that anyone realized that I'm talking about like the treatment team at the rehab, I don't think anyone realized that almost my entire addiction and all the bad choices I made came from me not grieving appropriately the loss of my best friend and wife. Because I went from her passing, her going to the funeral, still hadn't drank anything, I didn't even know what drugs were basically then. I was 29 years old. Going to her funeral, her dad getting in my face, saying that I promised to protect her when he gave her away to me. That was the only thing he said. He was like, protect her with your life. And I promised I would. But work was more important, and I wasn't able to be there. Either driving the car, or maybe we would have left, a minute later or a minute sooner, and the accident wouldn't have happened, or who knows, what could have happened. And I get it that all is nonsense, but, he hated me. And when he used to love me, like he thought I was the greatest. And maybe that was something I needed to mourn too, was the loss of that relationship I had with my in-laws, because they really loved me, and they put me on this pedestal of sorts. Like they were so proud that I was their daughter's husband. And when I lost that, and I lost her all at the same time, of course I started drinking every minute of the day. And of course, when I was introduced to a drug that made me feel the highest I've ever felt in my life, of course that's what happened. Of course, when I ran out of money living off my credit cards, and that was with a gold star credit. I lived a long time off my credit cards and in my addiction, close to almost $200,000 worth of credit I went through. Of course I would go to prison and not grieve her correctly. And finally, after 22 years, being able to do that, there was no other path for me but that. But it's God's plan. And yesterday the title of my show was No Regrets, going from, systems engineer to widower to drug addict / drug trafficker, dealer, to prisoner, federal prisoner, where Obama had his foot on my neck for close to 18 years. Of course, not the entire time, but he was present when I fell. And, to being saved, it's hard to say, but I was exactly where I was supposed to be. Just like today, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be here chatting with you guys. And talking about these things. I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. Although it was very hard. Good. Tan Louise is in the UK. I got that right. I'm not a complete idiot. Awaken said, and I'm going backwards again, guys, with the comments and questions. Sammy, we cannot put our loved ones in bubble wrap and expect them to breathe. We all grieve differently. That is what happened. Now is where we are. We got this because now we have each other. That's right. That's right. And I am so thankful you were in my life, Awakened. Like beyond words. This entire community. But I've definitely have enjoyed the short interactions that we've had and what we've discussed, with your loss and things. So I appreciate that. Doc says, wow, strength. Yeah. It's like me spinach is working. Cheryl Bobero, banana fana for Farrell. Good morning to you. So glad you're here. Maryland. Yeah, Maryland. I had an idea that you were from Maryland, not just from what you said, but just from the vibe I get. I lived in Gaithersburg or Germantown for a while. And I actually impersonated a U.S. Marshal at the Holiday Inn in Gaithersburg. I kicked in a door, tried to steal this guy's drugs and money, and it just happened to be a CI doing a controlled whatever he was doing in there, and I didn't know it. And the cops flew out of everywhere, and I got away. I dumped my U.S. Marshal jacket. I had it like a windbreaker that said U.S. Marshal on the back. I didn't have no gun or badge. I just did it, and U.S. Marshal. Everybody stay still. Give me the drugs. That's a whole story. I should tell that whole story someday. I don't know if you're familiar with that area, but there's a Denny's in the parking lot of that Holiday Inn. And I was at the Denny's and I overheard the two guys behind me talking about, all this money and drugs that they had in their room. And I was just there eating breakfast with my then stripper girlfriend. And I was like, what? So when we went back to the room, I told her I was going down to the bar to get a drink, and I didn't. I grabbed my windbreaker and decided I was going to be a strong arm, stealer of drugs and money. It was the one and only time I ever even tried to do anything like that. I'm too big of a wuss to rob a liquor store or people, but I sure tried then. And what a mess I got myself into. But anyways, I want to tell that whole story. I did end up getting caught for it later, and you would be amazed at what I got charged with. You'd be amazed. Put it this way, it wasn't a felony. It wasn't a felony to do that. Wow, thank you so much. Shell Dub, thank you so much for the super chat. This is a great community, she said. Yes, it is. And isn't it a shame that we didn't spend the summer together? But you know what? I think us getting back together, getting the band back together for the holidays is perfect timing. God has me mentally where I needed to be back. And I think we can all be here for each other. For the holidays, for the foreseeable future. Like I want to do this for the rest of my life. And I'm not just saying that. But thank you so much for the super chat. It is greatly appreciated. Your generosity is appreciated. Kim says, comment, while I have made a ton of mistakes and some terrible choices, I don't regret. It has made me who I am now, and I'm pretty awesome. You are pretty awesome. I've loved some of the conversations that we've had. I really loved the conversation we had with Mariana that day. It was awesome. We talked about that for a few days. And then remember, the very next day, I reconnected with my spiritual mentor, Jason, who I had a falling out with. So it was perfect. Waken says, comment, Sammy, we cannot put our loved ones. Oh, I already read that. I hate going backwards because I know you guys are commenting down below. Okay, I'm going back down to the bottom. It's not giving me the arrow. I almost feel like there's is there a delay, do you guys think, on the on the chat. It seems slow, but I mean, there's only 17 of you guys here, and probably only a third of you guys are commenting. We did have a high of 30 people at one point, so that was awesome. I think our average before I shut the show down last year was 80 people, which is pretty good for our little community, 80 people. And, everyone was pretty supportive of each other. There was a few people that like to be, I'm out of here. You're talking about Trump, things like that. And let me say this. Let me say this. A lot has changed for me. My political views now are so different than what they were at the beginning of this year. And for all the reasons that you guys are probably aware of, if you are just alive and breathing and are on YouTube. Trump has become, I don't think, the person who he thought. Trump's presidency has become something that I don't think even he would agree with when he came down that escalator all those years ago. He is almost the exact opposite of that man and of that speech that he gave. And I don't necessarily fault him. I think there's just so many things hidden, the way our government works and the deep state that it's just like the whole thing with the Epstein files. It's, they're on my desk. Yeah, there's going to be, there's 1,000 victims. And then there was like, oh, there's nothing to see here. And now all of a sudden, I just downloaded the other day 64,000 pictures and documents to my hard drive the other day, all Epstein files. Yeah, pretty crazy. I'm just looking at, here we go. Oops, it moved on me. Awaken says, comment, Sammy, of those 80 compared to now, how much closer do you feel to the smaller chats? A lot closer. Do you guys probably remember? I missed so much. People would get in their feelings. And then, I would try to people please everybody. It was a lot harder. This is much better. Of course I would like it to be bigger, in some ways, and then small in other ways, of course, financially, I would love it to be bigger, and I know I don't obsess like I used to about, the money, from YouTube, but, it definitely has to keep me alive. So I'm going to do my best to make that happen. Comment, people pleasing isn't the worst thing in the world as long as you are one of the people you're trying to please. Oh, Ben Bacon Bits in for the save. Absolutely. And when I was at my height of people pleasing, back in the day, I was not pleasing myself at all. Actually, I was hurting myself with every person I tried to please. I really did. Here's a good example. I had a crush on this girl, and I was her dealer, but I had a big crush on her, and she was the girl that I was bringing drugs to when Dave Mustaine from Megadeth was sleeping on the couch. It was that girl. She was from Philadelphia, but she lived in Hollywood. And I sent her, I sent her some roses with Ben Stiller's credit card. Anyways, God, I'm really a piece of shit. No, just kidding. Anyways, I was kind of on the run or on a runner, one of the two, and I had left my Jeep parked in her driveway, and she had took me to the airport, and then I ended up taking the Amtrak, all over the country, to New Orleans, to Texas, then up to Boston, down over to Chicago, across, the upper plains to Seattle, down through California. I was like hooked on taking the Amtrak train because you could get like a sleeping car, and they had a bar car where you could drink and look at the scenery, and I was hooked on it. And and I had plenty of illegal substances, and she had said something like, hey, I'm moving, you're gonna have to get your Jeep, and she had just said, I've driven it a couple times, because my car, whatever, I can't remember the reason. I'm like, you know what, do you want it? And I just gave her like this. I mean, this wasn't your ordinary Jeep. This was like an 81 CJ5 with the crawling suspension, and it was lifted, and it had like the bikini top and the half doors, and also I had a hard top for it. I had also the vinyl tops. It had a big old 308 in it. It was my baby, and I just was like, because I had this huge crush on her, I was like, hey, do you want it? She's like, you're not for real. I was like, yeah. And I like literally the next time I was in LA, I signed the title over to her. And I had no car. I had no house, no anything. If anything, I should have kept it to sleep in. Because, going on those trains wasn't cheap. And, you have your good times and your bad times. There was times where, my girlfriend would steal something from Home Depot to return it to get money back just so we could eat, So, yeah, people pleasing like that would hurt me. And I would do things like that all the time. I just gave away a car 2.5 years ago to a girl who I was just dating. Granted, I did have another car, but I wasn't in love with her or anything, but she needed a car. Like, here you go. Gave her a almost brand new Kia that was paid for. So that is people pleasing. I wasn't rich. I'm not rich. It was really the most expensive possession I had, and I just gave it away. So I don't know. But good to see you, Ben. I'm so glad you popped into the show real quick. I love it when you're lurking. I love when you're participating. As long as you're here, Daddy. See how I slipped that in? Does that even work? Does that even sound right? That's Ben Bacon Bit sound. So from now on, whenever Ben's here, that's the sound. Or we could give him this sound. Daddy Ben Bacon Bits. Oh yeah. Here's a lovely comment. I think I just read the beginning of it. Doc 223 says, the baddest man ever to walk the earth, to walk the earth, Jesus, and the second baddest man, John the Baptist, were both executed by the government. That's absolutely right. That's absolutely right. But we are called to abide by the laws, and I know you believe this too. The Bible calls us to obey, the laws of a government, no matter what. I don't know about no matter what, but we are to whatever laws that happen to be in our life that covet us, or not covet us, but that covenant us or whatever. We are to try to obey. My pastor told me that one time. I said, I can't remember what it was about, but I had said, yeah, it goes against, it's against my probation rules, but it's not illegal. It was probably drinking a beer or something. And he's like, no, but God has put probation over you. And so it's a sin in his eyes, or he said it where it made something click to where like, oh, okay, I understand. Yeah. We might not agree with government. We might not understand. But it's our God-given, we are kind of ordered to, I don't know why I can't explain that, how I'm thinking it, but I think you guys get it. What else? Have I missed any comments or questions? You guys are kind of quiet today. I'm going to go backwards a little bit. It's weird that it's not putting the questions over to the side like it used to. Maybe it stopped doing that. Yeah, maybe it stopped doing that. Well, guys, I think we have reached the end of the show today. That kind of stinks. I would really love it if you guys were here tomorrow. I know I will be here. I do have a tattoo in the afternoon, so I will be able to be here tomorrow. Thank you, everybody, for coming out. Doc, thank you for participating in the show today. Hope to see you again soon. Susie Q3, man, it's good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. I'm just kind of saying goodbye to the people that I missed on the coming into the show. I think that's really it. Beta, thank you so much for showing up today. And then the cat ate the hamster. Yep, that's right. It's so funny, man. It's so funny. Oh, there's my buddy calling from. Oh, I hope he tries to call back. But yeah, thanks guys for coming today. Tomorrow, I think I'm going to show some things from the pastors. I might even just go straight over to Baron Coleman's podcast and just clip some things from him. He's got a lot of insight on that. I don't, if you guys haven't gone and checked out Baron Coleman's podcast yet, definitely go do that. Like I was watching Baron before he kind of got his stride. He was just doing his podcast for his friends and family. He's an ex-radio show guy. He's a lawyer. And then he started doing some things on the Charlie Kirk investigation with the trend searches, with the Google Trends. And then he had it out with this cameraman. And remember, I did the show about the cameraman and the argument he had. I was the only person who covered that. And then that kind of went viral for me. I got like 80,000 views for that video. And then everyone else was picking him up. And literally overnight, he went from 9,000 subscribers to, I think he's at 70,000 subscribers now. And he spends an hour reading super chats at the end of the show. I mean, I think the other day he spent almost 2 hours reading super chats. So not to put a monetary value on that, but he's with the 100,000 views he gets plus with the super chat, he's probably making almost $2,000 an episode now. He went from making zero to almost $2,000 probably an episode. How crazy is that? But I'm gonna say this: he is very smart and he's very talented. You guys might have caught the video I did on him. It's Barron YouTuber gets exposed or something like Charlie Kirk investigator exposed or what's the other word? I use the other word, not exposed, but revealed, kind of like revealed. He's got some shady stuff in his past, not illegal stuff, but so he did some things. He was a CI and now he says he wasn't, but I kind of asked him to, well, can you prove that? Not that it's important. I'm a fan of yours. So I'm not trying to get a gotcha moment, but I want to, he says he's curious. I'm curious also, but we'll have to see. Maybe I'll do not a live stream on it, but maybe I'll do another video saying, okay, come on, Baron. But I guess what I was going to say, he's very talented. He deserves all the success in the world. Really, really, truly does. He's got 8 kids. He's a Christian. I really think he's just doing his best just to be a good guy. And so kudos to him for all his success on his show, and Ian Carroll and everyone else that's kind of come up. These are talented guys. It's not like with me, it would be like just me getting lucky with a couple of good shows. And, and that's what happens. I'm at 6,000 subscribers because I get lucky with 1 or 2 shows here and there, and I get 1,000 or 2,000 subscribers just for that one show. Could you imagine doing a show like that day in and day out? I would be overwhelmed. I wouldn't mind the views, but having that many subscribers, checking in with you, and you're like, that would be overwhelming. I would need 2 producers and 400 things. Anyways, I love you guys. You guys take care. I will see you tomorrow. Until next time, be kind to each other, be kind to yourselves, and mahalo.
Stay loud. Don't be woke. Stay wild. Stay awake.